What's good, guys? It's Sam here. It is a little cold in my apartment, and haven't turned the heat up, so I have my hood on. But I wanted to talk about creating a plan to lose some fat. Right? It's going on the second week of February, and you probably at least have slightly thought about summer's coming at some point, once or twice this year so far, and getting ready from a physical standpoint to be ready for summer. And if you're the typical person who watches this channel, this has probably been something you've thought about for years and years and never fucking did anything with it. So I want to help you with that. Well, hopefully. Feel free to ask me questions down below or shoot me a DM on Instagram and say, "What's up?" But before I get into like creating that plan, press that subscribe button and that bell notification. Okay, so if you're trying to lose some fat, right? Okay, decide on like what you would like to do first of all. So you want to lose some fat. Okay, so if you lose a quarter of a pound, is that good? You said you wanted to lose some fat. You lost a quarter of a pound. Be fucking specific about what you want. Okay? Like, it's like when people tell me they want to make more money. Okay, well, here's a fucking dollar. You just made more money. How much do you want to make? Same thing, right? Like, you want to lose fat. Okay? And if you don't know how to quantify that, right, then think about the type of body you would like to see. Like, oh, I remember when I was fucking 18 and I could see my abs. Okay, then that's perfect. That's how you want to look, right? So you're at 24% or 18% or 15% or 32% body fat. Now you want to be able to get back to X or how you were at a certain point in your life. Okay, think about that first of all, right? Because there's a process to go through to get there. So think about the vision first, like the goal. That's what you want, okay? You want to be able to see your abs like you did when you were younger. Or you want to be able to have a much smaller waist and not have a gut. Whatever the case is, okay. So there's going to be a 3-step process to go through to get there. It's pretty fucking simple. It's really fucking simple. You just literally have to put in the work. And it doesn't matter if you pay a trainer or you pay somebody to help you with your diet or you just actually take initiative and do it yourself. Like, they all work. Whatever works for you and I'm not selling shit. I'm just saying whatever works for you to put in the actual work to be successful at whatever it is that you tell yourself you want. Remember, if you say you want it, but you're not willing to put in the work and whatever associated sacrifice that might be, meaning you put in the work here, which means that you can't fucking watch Game of Thrones, like, okay, that means you don't really want it, right? You would rather watch Game of Thrones. You would rather go out with your friends and have beer. You would rather go out and, go home and just do nothing. Like, then you don't really want that image of yourself that you just talked about, right? So come with it with a self-awareness and brutal honesty, like that's what you actually want, then that requires a certain level of actual commitment. If you're not committed to it, then you're not going to get it. Just like every other year when you said you wanted it and you didn't. Because you weren't willing to actually commit to it. Which is fine if that's not what you really want. But then let that thought go in your mind that you actually do want it because you don't. Otherwise your actions would show that. Period. Okay. So with that being said, right? So you're at 20%. You want to get down so that you can see some of your obliques or something like that. 3 steps. And this is exactly how I would do it in this order. Right? And the first 2 might be piggybacked on top of each other, very close together, but the first 2. So it's going to be your diet, your training and cardio, and the last one would be any type of compounds that you would take. Where I think most people like to look at that in reverse. And they're like, what can I take so that I can put less work in and still eat my shitty fucking diet? Like, flip that around. This is primary, your diet. Then your training and your cardio. And lastly is things that you take. Period. In my opinion, you might disagree. I've been doing this for a while, and that's my opinion. Okay, so start with the diet. So that means if you're trying to lose some weight and fat, make sure you're getting the proper amount of protein. So start with 1 gram per pound. What does that mean? Well, if you're a 200 fucking pound person, you have 200 grams of protein. How do you count that? You just fucking look at the label, right? So this is a box of Triscuits or something. Let's see. It says 6 crackers is 2 grams of protein, and that's 1 serving. So if you eat 6 crackers, then that's 2 grams of protein. So whatever serving you have of anything you have throughout the whole entire day, get the amount of protein. And I would just start with the protein unless you really want to go into it and count your macros. But this is how I started. I just started with the protein. So start with the protein. Make sure you're getting the amount of protein equal to your body weight in pounds. Right? So 200 pounds, 200 grams of protein per day. Then you're also going to be reducing the excess calories. Right? So that doesn't mean completely fucking changing your diet, but maybe if you tend to have a sandwich for lunch, just have an open-faced sandwich. An open-faced sandwich is you have your bread in the bottom, then you have your shit in the middle of the sandwich, and you have your bread on the top. Just take off the top piece of bread and have an open-faced sandwich, like a French sandwich. Just have it like that. You don't need the carbs. Add in another slice of fucking meat in there or something like that. Add in another piece of lettuce and meat. Okay? That's what you have. Get rid of those excess calories and do the same thing. So if you're going to have a pasta dish, like add in more chicken or steak or shrimp or whatever it is you're having and cut back on the actual pasta. Or the same thing with rice, you know what I mean? Or sweet potatoes or whatever the case is. Just cut that back a little bit. And this doesn't have to all be at once, but this is what you got to think about, right? So like start in week 1 and implement one of these things. And then in week 2, implement something else. And just keep stacking them top of each other so you get the aggregation of all these little marginal gains. And that's what's really going to add up. Excuse me. Another thing is making sure you're getting enough water. So whatever you weigh in water, have that many ounces of water per day. I'm not going to get really into the micronutrition. If you have questions about that, leave them down below or shoot me a message on Instagram. Link will be in the description. So focusing on the diet primary, right? Get your protein, cut out some of those excess calories. You don't have to go crazy. Don't starve yourself because you're not going to stick with it just like you haven't in the past. So just do just micro changes that are you're actually committed to, right? If you're not going to do it in the long term, don't do it, right? Do it so that you can be committed to that lifestyle in the future, right? If you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to cut out all carbs, well, unless you have the mindset like I do, where you can go on these extremes back and forth and still be on a trajectory that you want to be on, I would recommend most people don't do that. Because then they fall off the bandwagon and they don't actually reach the objectives that they want. Where I've been doing this for a long time, so I feel comfortable doing that. Not a lot of people do. They'll fall off and then they'll just stay exactly where they are. 18.5% body fat. Okay, well then you're not going to get your abs. Or if you want to get leaner or whatever the case is. Okay, so start with those things. The protein, the excess, and the water. Start with those 3 things for the diet. Now with the training, you're going to add in cardio. Whether you do it now or you don't do it now. And when I was younger, I never used to do cardio. There'd be very sporadic periods of time where I would do cardio, but not very often, for several years at a time, and then I might do it for a month or 2 months or 3 months, and then I wouldn't do it again for several years. But I wasn't trying to lean out, so I didn't do cardio, and I didn't see it as super necessary. Now I will always do cardio to some degree or another because you have cardiovascular health. It's good for your heart. So it doesn't matter if I'm trying to cut or if I'm going to be bulking. I'm going to be doing cardio because it's good for me. Period. So with yours, if you're trying to drop fat, remember, you're going to add in cardio. So whatever you're going to be doing for your workouts, if you go to the gym 3 days a week or 4 days a week or 5 days a week, whatever it is, add in 15 minutes of cardio. You don't have to run. Just hop on the elliptical, hop on the treadmill, do the treadmill at the highest incline, do the Stairmaster, and do 15 minutes. You don't have to go fast or anything like that. Just do it every day. That's going to be your warm-up. Just do that every single day. And over the course of several weeks, just get progressively slightly harder. So, week 1, you could do the treadmill at the 15-degree incline at 2.1 miles per hour. Week 2, 2.2 miles per hour. Right, and what I actually like to do is you can change it inter week, whatever's easier for you. So day 1, you do 2.1 at 15 degrees incline on the treadmill. Day 2, you can do 10 minutes or say 12 minutes at 2.1, and then 3 minutes at 2.2 at the 15 degree on Wednesday. Then, assuming you go 5 days in a row, on Wednesday you can do 10 minutes of 2.1 and 5 minutes of 2.2 at the 15 degree incline. On Thursday, you do 5 minutes and then 10 minutes at 2.2. And then on Friday, you can, do 1 minute at 2.1 and, 2 minutes at 2.1 and 13 minutes at 2.2. And then you're all set for the following week to start at 2.2, right? And just do this to get progressively more challenging. And I personally like to change up the type of cardio because I think any type of repetitive thing like that you're going to consistently be doing could potentially cause some type of imbalances. So I would prefer if you switch that up either every week or during the week, and just be aware or write it down or in your phone or something of what you're doing. So if you switch between those 3 things, the elliptical, the Stairmaster, and the treadmill, then do say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then start again. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? And then start over again. Like that. So you just rotate through. So you remember, hey, on Monday I did the elliptical and I had it at level 4 or 6 or whatever the case is for 15 minutes. So then just, okay, well, I'll do 7.5 minutes at level 4 and I'll do 7.5 minutes at level 5, right? And you just progressively overload. That way you're going to continually add these marginal gains that are going to add up to, because if you can't constantly do the same thing, your body gets used to it and it goes into homeostasis. So you kind of always want to be pushing it outside of homeostasis by constantly changing things up. So you're going to do that with your diet. Now, with your training, if you really want to burn some more or your time frame is more compressed, right? Because it's going to be dependent on what type of time frame you're looking at, right? If you want to compress that time frame to say 30 days or 60 days to really lose a significant amount of fat, then with your training, during your breaks between sets, instead of wasting time on your phone and chatting with your buddies, do something productive that is going to burn calories to move you closer to your goal. Whether that's a superset of something you're already doing or going into do an exercise on a body part that is lagging, right? So if your upper chest is all rib cage and you don't have any muscle development there, for example, and you're training back, when you finish up your back set, you can go straight into a front raise where you squeeze your chest, right? And you do those throughout your workout. You might even do 6 sets of those to help bring in and activate that. That way you'll keep your heart rate up and you'll burn some more calories and you'll bring up the weak portion of your body, right? If it was your biceps, I wouldn't do your biceps at the same time as you're doing your back just because it's your secondary muscle. You're training as well on the same body part. Meaning, if you're training your back, your secondary muscle is your bicep. So I wouldn't hit your bicep on the same thing, like taking a break, because then it's probably going to affect your back workout adversely. So I wouldn't necessarily do it that way. I would think about a different body part other than the secondary muscle of the primary muscle group you're trying to train, if that makes sense. So if you were doing chest, you probably wouldn't be doing a superset with a tricep, unless it's like in the second half of the workout. At least that's how I like to do that. I would focus on a different muscle group that might be weak, right? Like if you have small legs, or not, and there's nothing wrong with small legs. If that is a muscle group that you would like to bring up and you're training back, then maybe doing some squats between every single set. And you don't necessarily even have to do them weighted, or you can just grab dumbbells or do like a goblin squat or something like that between sets. And that way you'll burn some more calories and bring up the weak muscle body power. So you get a better overall look to your physique. And then third and final, right? So we've talked about the diet, and we've talked about the training and the cardio. Now the third and final thing is the supplementation or compounds you would take. So if I feel like there's a couple factors that are going to go into this: the time frame and the where you fall on the body fat percentage. If you're like maybe above 15 or 18% body fat, I might not even take anything. Not that there's anything wrong with being that high of a body fat percentage, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I would say that you can probably get a better ROI on your money somewhere else, unless you really want to spend it on some type of supplementation. So in terms of SARMs, SARMs is not really going to be tremendously helpful from a fat loss standpoint. So I wouldn't really take a SARM for that. Like, I mean, if you're at 23% body fat, you know what I mean? You just gotta stop eating like a slob and fucking do some cardio. Like, it's just what it is. And remember, when you have drinks, like drinking alcohol is a carb. So and this is just a quick tip in there. So if you're going on vacation, you're probably going to save money to go on vacation, right? So you're going to go on a vacation. It's going to cost you $1,500. So 3 months in advance, you like save $500 each month. So at the end of month 3, you're like, I'm good to go for vacation. I have my $1,500, right? So think about that and applying it to your diet. If you're going to go out with some friends on Friday night and have some drinks, cool. Like, that's what you want to do. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't deprive yourself if that's what you really want to do. But remember, you also, if you really want your objective too, like, you can weigh both of those and you can do both of them. So that means on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you can cut back on the other carbohydrates that you would have had, right? So during the day on Friday, on Thursday, on Wednesday, on Tuesday, and on Monday, you could cut back an additional, say, 200 calories per day of carbohydrates, so that on Friday, if you go out and have 4 or 5 beers, you're good. And you don't really affect your diet in such a way. I wouldn't say that it's going to behoove your gains by going out drinking every weekend, but I understand how some people enjoy those things. So that's how I did it. It works. Just think of it as like a savings. Okay, I'm going to go out. I'll probably have 5 drinks. Okay, we can just estimate whatever type of drink it is that you enjoy drinking. Google that shit, see how many calories it is, and then cut that out for the days beforehand. So you've built up that savings for that vacation, for those, that whatever you're going to have. And I would be on the conservative side, because when you tend to drink, the willpower tends to go down. And so some people think, I'll just have 2 or 3 drinks. But when they have that first drink, then they end up having 6 drinks. Or having like the Cheetos or the nachos because their friends are having them. So just be cognizant of that, right? You're like, I know I don't have the self-control or willpower when I start drinking, so I might only have 3 drinks, but then I'll probably have a burger, right? So that's 1,000 calories for your burger, right? Because you're going to have it with fries and a soda, and I'm also going to have 3 drinks. So then that means you, instead of doing 200 calories per day, Monday through Friday, as a reduction, maybe you take 300 or 350 to add it up so that you're good. That's how I did it, and I was a big fan of that. And the third thing for the supplementation, okay, so if you're above, say, 18%, just arbitrarily, I wouldn't even take really any type of supplementation. I mean, you just gotta stop fucking being, like, eating like that and put in some fucking work. Like, with the diet, mainly, and the cardio. And then but it's gonna mainly be the diet. And then if, say, you're under 18%, with a SARM, depends on what your objective is, remember, and then also the time frame. But I wouldn't necessarily take a SARM for cutting fat. Potentially MK677 to help with a little bit of the fat loss, but more so for the recovery and the muscle preservation. But it depends on your time frame and where you are mentally in terms of if you want to research with something or not. But that's how I enjoy MK677 and Ostarine for research purposes when I'm cutting. I think for me, from a muscle preservation standpoint, and just the tiny little bit of fat loss you get from MK677, I think that's a good combo that's very synergistic together for me when I'm cutting, because then I don't lose a tremendous amount of muscle when I cut my calories and I'm doing an hour of cardio a day. Like, I can still stay nice and full, and I'm not shrinking up and just shriveling up like a fucking raisin. Anyways, I hope this video was helpful, though. If you guys have questions or like I missed something, let me know down below in the comments. I'm happy to help out. Or there's a link for my Instagram in the description. Just shoot me a message. I'm happy to help. Hope you guys have an awesome day, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.